We start with breaking news out of California, where Los Angeles County deputies are swarming a high school in Santa Clarita after a shooting. And this is a live picture from that scene.
Authorities at this point are saying that multiple people are hurt after a shooting at Saugus High School. The sheriff says he believes all the victims are students. One is shot, but it's not clear what injuries the other victims have. The high school and other schools in the area are on lockdown. Witnesses describe the scene as chaotic. We'll update you as soon as we learn more throughout the hour. Well, right now we're going to shift gears, turn to the forecast. It is another chilly day here in Hampton Roads. So will we finally see a jump in the temperatures? A little bit of a jump at some point, a little bit of warmer temperature. Not necessarily today, maybe down the road.
Well, let's get to Tim Pandages now with the answer. Hey, Tim.
Hey, guys. Well, we started off sunny today. Clouds have begun to roll on in, but our winds are out of the south, so already we've surpassed our high from yesterday, which we'll talk more about that 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, Tim, thank you. Well, Smithfield police officers are searching for whomever shot and killed a man at the 7-Eleven on West Main Street last night. Officers say they found 21-year-old Desmond Smith shot several times just before 11 p.m. Megan Shin spoke with regulars at the convenience store, waking up to the news.
Rest in peace.
From social media posts to conversations at the gas pump.
Everybody's talking about it.
We need to come together as a community, really.
In Smithfield, Megan Shin, 13 News Now.
A Chesapeake OB/GYN faced a federal judge today. Dr. Javaid Pervez is charged with performing unnecessary surgeries. Megan Purrier joins us live from Norfolk Federal Courthouse now with the latest. Megan.
Today in court, victims cried as the judge announced that he was detaining Pervez. Now, this all started a year ago when a hospital employee tipped off the FBI. Now, the FBI is on top of this case. I'll let you know where they're at in the investigation on 13 News Now at 4. Live in Norfolk, I'm Megan Purrier, 13 News Now.
Megan, thank you. Well, right now, a toddler is recovering after almost drowning in a bathtub. Police were called to a home on 36th Street yesterday around 4 p.m. And when officers got there, medics had stabilized the toddler. The child was taken to the hospital for further treatment. The investigation into how this happened is underway.
The 4-month-long independent investigation into the Virginia Beach mass shooting is over.
Last night, consulting firm, Hillard Hines, presented its findings to City Council and also the families of the 12 victims. And the big takeaway here from the 262-page report, there's no definitive motive for the attack. So CEO Arnett Hines was without a manifesto or similar documents. Finding a true motive for the shooting is impossible, that's what he said. That personal phone records show that he visited websites with reports of other mass shootings. The report did show that the shooter felt frustrated at work before the shooting, but for years he disagreed with performance reviews, saved complaints about management, and believed people treated him unfairly.
The day before the shooting, he emailed that he would pay $3,000 out of his own pocket to fix a procurement error. Still, Hines says city officials had no information they should have known or acted on before the shooting.
Retrospectively, we can look at those elements and go, this individual is struggling and is potentially on a path to violence. But there's not a point in time that you can say this guy is going to carry out this act.
So as for that alleged toxic work environment within the city that's been discussed, Hines says there isn't enough evidence of that either. The report laid out 58 recommendations for the city. A few of those include workplace violence prevention training, centralizing the Human Resources Office to deal with employee reports, and additional security measures like cameras throughout buildings.
Well, it's worth pointing out that the FBI is still the only group with access to the shooter's personal computer, and the Virginia Beach police investigation is not over yet either. So you can read the entire report on 13newsnow.com.
Another politician is expected to throw his hat in the ring for the 2020 race for the White House.
We'll tell you more about the Democrat hoping to join the already crowded field. In the race for the White House, the field of Democrats vying for the nomination is growing even larger.
Former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick is throwing his hat into the ring. ABC's Trevor Ault has our coverage.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deval Patrick.
Yet another candidate jumping into the Democratic race for president.
While Deval Patrick and Michael Bloomberg are filing at a time that feels pretty late, the race for 2020 has started much earlier than previous presidential campaigns. The first state vote, the Iowa caucus, is 81 days away. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
The top American diplomat in Ukraine revealed new evidence during yesterday's public impeachment hearing.
We break down what was said next on 13 News Now at noon.
Let's get you an update now on that breaking news we began at the top of the show. We go to California for this, where Los Angeles County deputies right now are swarming a high school in Santa Clarita after a shooting. And this is a live picture from a neighborhood where they believe they may have cornered the suspect.
We're getting a lot of information in right now as this is still developing, but at this point, authorities tell us at least 5 people are hurt after a shooting at Saugus High School. Deputies believe there is just one suspect. As Dan just mentioned, they're surrounding that home in a nearby neighborhood right now. We also learned 2 victims are in critical condition. Medics are taking 3 more to the hospital right now. The sheriff says he believes all the victims are students. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you any updates.
All right, now to the latest on the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. Democrats today are looking to keep up the momentum after their first major witness revealed some new information that could play a vital role.
Meanwhile, the president is actually dismissing the event as hearsay. ABC's Mona Kosar-Abdi is in Washington.
President Trump, who claimed he didn't watch a minute of the first public impeachment hearing this morning, took to Twitter to take direct aim at the Democrats' 2 witnesses. And the hearings continue tomorrow with Marie Yovanovitch, the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. Mona Kosar-Abdi, ABC News, Washington.
First responders in Williamsburg were at the scene of a house fire started on Hidden Lakes Drive overnight. The fire chief tells us the family escaped the fire through a second-floor window. A neighbor and firefighters helped get the family down safely. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and the cause of the fire is under investigation.
Tomorrow, the USNS Comfort is coming back to Naval Station Norfolk after a 5-month humanitarian mission. Back in June, it left to provide medical assistance to areas in the Caribbean, Central and South America. Nearly 200 medical professionals and a crew of 800 are on board. Now for time for a check your forecast, we send things over to Tim.
Well, guys, it was a very cold start to our day. Our average low this time of the year is 45. Many spots were over 20 degrees cooler than that and pretty close to record territory, too. There'll be a windy weekend, too, and then temperatures warming a bit by the middle of next week, up to around 60, but by that point, we'll be average.
Okay.
Average.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back to average. That's fine with us. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Let's move on to this now. The CDC has a new warning about superbugs. They say they're becoming drug resistant and they're outsmarting antibiotics. So far, there are 5 bugs on their urgent threat list. And officials say someone in the United States dies from these types of bugs every 15 minutes just about. It's much of a solution, or not much of a solution, but a new report suggests that preventing infections from happening in the first place could actually assist people that are suffering from these superbugs.
Well, how late do you normally eat dinner? Well, there's more evidence that eating meals later in the day may be having a negative impact on your cardiovascular health. This new research specifically looked at women. It found that women who consumed more calories after 6 p.m. had worse cardiovascular health. We're talking higher blood pressure, body mass index, and less control over blood sugar. While there's no research on the optimum number of calories you should consume after 6, some experts recommend eating less than 30% of your daily total after that time. This research will be presented at the American Heart Association's scientific sessions. Well, the Girl Scouts of the Colonial Coast is getting ready for a big event, and we're going to tell you all about it coming right up. Well, every Girl Scout membership year, Girl Scouts of the Colonial Coast recognizes local Girl Scout alums who are leaders in their fields. And we have Courtney Herrick and Benita Harris joining us now with more on this special event. We appreciate you both coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Benita, we'll start with you and just kind of give us a rundown of your experience, a positive one, with the Girl Scouts.
Okay, well, first of all, I am just honored and excited to be recognized with such a phenomenal group of young women.
Absolutely. You got Courtney Herrick and Benita Billingsley Harris. Appreciate you both coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
See you again. We're back after this. It's 12:30 and we continue to follow that breaking news out of California where several students are hurt in a high school shooting in Santa Clarita. And this is a live picture from the scene outside the school. And actually happening right now, deputies are busy at a separate location where they believe they've cornered a suspect in a neighborhood. But you can see a whole lot happening right now outside the school as well.
Yeah, the shooting happened at Saugus High School. Right now, reports are conflicting about how many people are hurt, but authorities tell us right now at least 6 people are in the hospital. 1 is shot. It's unclear what the other injuries are at this point. The hospital says 2 people are in critical condition. The sheriff says he believes all of the victims are students. We'll continue to follow the story and bring you any updates. Well, the 4-month-long independent investigation into the Virginia Beach mass shooting is over.
Last night, consulting firm Hilliard Hines presented its findings to City Council and to the families of the 12 victims. The big takeaway from that big, long report, almost 260 pages, there's no definitive motive for the attack. The CEO, Arnett Hines, says that without a manifesto or similar documents, finding a true motive for the shooting is impossible. Personal phone records show that the shooter visited websites with reports of other mass shootings. The report did show the shooter felt frustrated at work before the shooting. For years, apparently disagreeing with performance reviews, saving complaints about management, and believing that people unfairly treated him.
Well, the day before the shooting, he emailed that he would pay $3,000 out of his own pocket to fix a procurement error. So still, Hines has said to city officials that they had no information that they should have known about or acted on before the May 31st mass shooting.
Retrospectively, we can look at those elements and go, this individual is struggling and is potentially on a path to violence. But there's not a point in time that you can say this guy is going to carry out this act.
Well, as for an alleged toxic work environment within the city, Hilliard Hines says there isn't enough evidence of that either. The report laid out 58 recommendations for the city. A few of those include workplace violence prevention training, centralizing the Human Resources Office to deal with employee reports, and additional security measures like cameras throughout buildings.
It's worth pointing out the FBI is still the only group with access to the shooter's personal computer, and the Virginia Beach police investigation isn't over yet either. You can read the full report from the independent investigators on 13newsnow.com. Some MacArthur Center stores are, quote, cutting back on their hours. Employees told us that some store managers made the decision after last month's shooting when the mall went on lockdown after a gunman shot 2 people inside. Phoenix Jewelry, J. Crew, and Loft are all closing now 1 hour earlier than normal.
Aldi now delivers beer and wine in Hampton Roads. Just choose what you want on Aldi's website or through Instacart and get them dropped off at your front door. Now, if you're a first-time customer, you can get your first delivery for free. Just use the code ALDIHOLIDAY19 before the end of the year. Now, of course, you must be at least 21 years old to place an order. You need to enter your birthday at checkout and show your ID to the delivery driver.
Well, kindergarten is no longer the starting point for preschool kids. Many children are now beginning their education before kindergarten.
Yeah, but those programs often are not part of the public school system, and they can be out of reach for some families financially. So one solution now makes this early education available online. ABC's Serena Marshall reports on this new trend.
Sitting at her own personal desk.
I wish I had taste buds.
In her family living room, 4-year-old Autumn isn't just playing an online video game.
Please click on a second animal.
She's attending preschool. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
That program is not available yet in Virginia or North Carolina. Well, flooding in Venice, Italy has reached the second highest level ever. More than 85% of the city is flooded.
Coming up, we'll show you more video of the Canal City. Right now, Venice, Italy is seeing historic flooding. This is the second highest level since 1966.
Some incredible images coming out of there. ABC's James Longman is in Venice with the latest.
These are the worst floods to hit Venice in more than 50 years. Take a look. I'm in St. Mark's Square, world-famous tourist attraction, and the water is still going well above my ankle. At its highest, the water here reached something around 6 foot. That is an extraordinary amount of water. James Longman, ABC News in Venice.
Well, next time you're in a foreign country like Italy and have no idea where you are, Google has a solution. The Maps feature will now offer built-in text-to-speech to help you when you travel. You'll be able to tap a button next to a place or address and have Google Maps say it out loud in 50 different languages.
Wow.
That new feature is rolling out this month. Turning now to a live look over downtown Norfolk.
Coming up next on 13 News Now at noon, we'll tell you about a new deal Netflix just inked. Well, Google's next big bet is banking. It now says it'll start a program offering its own checking accounts next year. The accounts will be ran either by Citigroup or Stanford University's credit union. No word yet on whether Google will charge any fees for the accounts.
Motorola is reimagining the Razr flip phone. Remember those? The new one has a 6.2-inch screen that folds in half, making it much easier to slip into a pocket. Pre-orders start next month for the new Razr. It'll sell for around $1,500. Wow. And only on Verizon Wireless.
Okay, well, SpongeBob SquarePants may be making a return to TV. Ladies and gentlemen, rejoice. Netflix just announced it's partnering with Nickelodeon, creating a multi-year deal to produce original content. And some of the shows that we can expect: a reboot of Rocko's Modern Life, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we just mentioned the SpongeBob SquarePants, but a spin-off of SpongeBob SquarePants. What is going on? This is great. It is most likely a move to challenge Disney Plus, which launched this week, and I am here for it.
Yeah, and Disney Plus doing pretty well.
Yes, they are. They are doing very well. Well, anyway, Tim has the final check on your forecast.
That's coming right up. All right, another update now to that breaking news we've been following for the last 45 minutes. Several students are hurt in a high school shooting in Santa Clarita, California. Los Angeles County deputies have swarmed a neighborhood where they think that suspect may be cornered. At last check, that's exactly what they were doing. And now we're hearing that the suspect is in fact in custody, Ashley.
Yeah, so we're going to move on now to some more details about the shooting. It's still developing, so we're going to tell you exactly what we know now. It happened at Saugus High School, and officials say they think there's one suspect, and that suspect is a student at the school. At this point, there are conflicting reports about how many injuries there are, but authorities tell us at least 6 people are in the hospital. We do know that one is shot, but it's unclear what injuries the other victims have. The hospital says 2 people are in critical condition. The sheriff believes that all of the victims are students. So we'll continue to follow this story and bring you any updates.
All right, now for another check on your forecast. Here's Tim.
All right, guys, clouds rolled on in after a sunny start to the day, and at least it's warmer out there. Temperature-wise, we've already surpassed our high from yesterday. How our forecast changes for this upcoming weekend, but could be windy, rainy, and raw for Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, man.
All right, find a good project to do inside.
Right. Just stay in. All right. Thank you. And thank you for joining us for 13 News Now at noon. Our next newscast is at 4.
Hope it's a great day, everybody. You can get the news all day. 13newsnow.com. Take care.